On this episode of Exactly How, you're going to learn how to invest in real estate, how to identify areas that are skyrocketing, and how to get started with or without money on this episode of Exactly How.
You're listening to the Exactly How podcast, where you'll hear the underground, closely guarded wealth building secrets of successful people around the globe. Discover exactly how to improve your mental, physical, and financial health. Feel better, make more money, live, give, and prosper in today's exciting, fast-paced world filled with opportunity for those who know exactly how.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Connected Investors podcast and YouTube show, Exactly How. During this episode, you're going to discover exactly how to buy your first commercial property, even if you're brand new or never thought of yourself as a real estate investor. For those of you who are new to the podcast here, my name is Ross Hamilton, CEO of ConnectedInvestors.com. And today we have the privilege to learn from a man who has been self-employed since age 23, pretty much never had a job before. He survived many different economic climates while evolving as a business owner and an entrepreneur. He did have a few jobs. Now, I was just joking with him a little bit, but prior to his career in real estate, he worked at a local mortgage bank and started his first company at 23. All of that changed when he decided to become a full-time private lender in 2008 after recognizing a huge void in the market and making it difficult for people to get funding. So I really describe our guest as very authentic and trustworthy. I'd like to introduce you to the one, the only Jeff Levin. Jeff, thank you so very much for talking with us.
Thanks for having me, Ross.
Yeah, we're really excited to pick your brain here and gain some of your experience on the commercial side of real estate investing. We were just talking a little bit before we hit the go button here, and you even wrote a great book on the topic. You mind showing that to our members?
No, I don't mind at all. In fact, it's the holiday season, right? So I've got 2 copies here. It's called The Insider's Guide to Private Lending. And in the book, I go through really step-by-step of how to vet borrowers, and as a potential borrower or as a potential lender, gives you great insights, stories, really step-by-step, and really the first piece of an educational program that I've been toying with and developing over the past, few years.
Great. Well, yeah, we'll make sure to have that in the YouTube description and also at exactlyhow.com in the show notes. So before we jump into exactly how to get into commercial real estate investing, Jeff, you contribute a lot of your success to always leaving the door open and never burning bridges. Why do you think that has played such a big role in your success, and why is that so important for real estate investors and entrepreneurs?
It's a great question, Ross. Obviously, first and foremost, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here today. So burning bridges is the last thing that anybody wants to do, and really in any environment, but especially in real estate investing, lending, being a borrower. What you do, the way you handle situations. It's easy to judge a man or a woman, or for that matter, anybody, in good times. Mm-hmm. It's more difficult in bad times, and your character goes a long way, and your authenticity and how you deal with adversity. And as real estate investors, adversity unfortunately is part of the game. When somebody asked me years ago about my lending business, they said, Jeff, how many times have you lost money? And I was new, definitely not new to lending, as that's been my career for decades. I said, well, I haven't lost any money on a loan. And his response to me was at the time, Jeff, you have not made enough loans. So, as a borrower, as a lender, as an investor, as a capital raiser, and you guys do a great job in your platform of educating people. Burning bridges is something I've never done, and it's paid me off in spades. I've run into challenges as a lender and as a real estate investor, and it's what I attribute my longevity to is really treating people the way that I would want to be treated, and in times where I've had adverse situations. I've worked with both my lenders and my borrowers, and it's paid off in spades.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You said a few things there that really struck a chord with me. I mean, everything's funny when you're making money, right? When money's flowing, everyone's good. It's good. Everyone's best friend. But someone's true character shows once there's some sort of an adversity, once there's some sort of a challenge. That's when you can learn who you really are as a person and who the individuals are out there. Jeff, you might agree with this, but any successful person, they always kind of fail their way to success, right? Any successful story is there's a trail of failures kind of behind you there. So if you're not, knocking them out of the park right now, you've had a few setbacks, well, great, you're on your way. So yeah, I appreciate you giving that insight there. It's definitely really helpful. So we're going to jump into it here, but for those of you that are new, what makes the Exactly How Financial Freedom podcast unique is every show comes with a detailed action plan. We're going to pull all the steps, all the knowledge, all the key takeaways out of our guest's head, out of Jeff's head, and put it into a easy to follow document for you at exactlyhow.com. In addition, when you visit exactlyhow.com, you can also pick up a lot of the free gifts, the resources, and you can throw your name in the hat to win our $3,000 deal finding software that pinpoints the best, most highly motivated sellers all around the United States, including commercial properties like apartment complexes. So you can go in there and search for apartment complexes that have been owned for a long time, and you can instantly find the person, give them a call, all the information about the property. It is a tool that every real estate investor needs, and someone who visits exactlyhow.com is going to win it. We're actually going to announce the winner, Jeff, here in just a little while of today's drawing. So I'm really excited for everyone there. And if you're watching this on YouTube, which everyone should be, make sure to subscribe to this channel, because we release these weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, and you don't want to miss any of these episodes. Be one of the army of people that are learning how to be successful in real estate through the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show. All right, Jeff, we have a lot of people on the line here that come from the residential fix and flip world. A lot of people who are thinking about real estate. So let's just kind of take a step back before we get super technical to help the high-end people understand how to scale their business. And when it comes to commercial real estate, can you describe the different types of commercial real estate, why you like or don't like each one, and where kind of a beginner should start? I know that's a loaded question, but I just want to kind of set the stage for people. So I'll let you do your best with answering that one.
Well, that's a big question and multiple questions. I mean, we could cover the traditional asset classes, and I'm going to talk about the easiest and the way that I kind of graduated from single family rentals and single family fix and flips into multifamily. Multifamily is by far I don't know if you say the lowest hanging fruit, but certainly the easiest asset class to finance. Anything 1 to 4 family can typically be done Fannie Freddie. And there are a lot of lenders that have come out recently with long-term rental programs. So, where I got my first start was a multifamily, and we can talk about that. But that is, if you ask me what I'm bullish on right now, it's multifamily, it's workforce housing. Housing in most urban areas has skyrocketed. In the 1970s, before I'm sure a lot of the people watching and listening right now on the podcast, everybody wanted a bigger house. Everybody wanted a bigger house. They wanted a bigger pool. They wanted his and hers changing room, the jacuzzi, the sauna, and they wanted a lot of ground. Well, in today's age, everybody wants to be close to urban areas, public transportation, and the like. And as a result, housing prices have become very expensive in major MSAs. So multifamily is an asset class I'm bullish on. Workforce housing, an asset class that I do like in certain geographies is industrial. As the economy has picked up, if you can find a nice industrial piece that provides access to highways, products still need to get from point A to point B, even though Amazon is likely delivering the majority of them. They need to get from point A to point B, and they need to be warehoused. So industrial is one segment of real estate asset classes I like a lot.
Great. No, that's really great insight there. I never think of industrial at all. I always think where people are living, right? So that's really, that's some really good insight there. All right, everyone, before we started, we broke down investing in commercial real estate into three main steps here. Step number one, your end game. Step number two, the financing. Step number three, the location. So Jeff, let's talk about the end game. We're starting at the end, working our way backwards. Kind of talk me through the conversations individuals need to have with themselves and with the people they're investing with.
So I'm going to share a personal story, and I do that often. And for those of you who have seen me on different podcasts or heard me speak, some of them are the same stories. But everything that I have, I've made. And I say that because when I bought my first multifamily building, I had to know what the end game was. And I had identified a 20-unit building, multifamily, in a burgeoning area in the District of Columbia that was priced way below market. And I knew it was a great buy. And as we all know, the money, when you make money in real estate, the money is made when you buy it. You monetize it when you sell it, but you make money on the buy. So I knew it was a great buy. And I've had a couple of these in my career where I knew it was a great buy, but I needed to know what the end game was. And the end game for me at that time, not having a whole lot of resources, or at least the resources I have now that are available to me, I had to know what the end game was. So what did I do? I bought a 20-unit building and I borrowed money from a private lender like myself. At that time, rates were much higher than they are now. But I knew what the end game was. The first base was identifying the property. Second was, and we'll talk about our three steps about financing, but I knew what my end game was. My end game was, number one, to buy it. Number two, to secure financing. Number three, to refinance, and the financing was hard money, to refinance it using traditional bank financing. So I had a game plan. So I knew my end game was buy it, stabilize, traditional financing, and I knew I wanted to sell it at some point in time. So I had a roadmap that I drew for myself.
Gotcha. So when someone's considering an end game, should they look at when do I want to sell this property? Am I selling this property in 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, or 6 months? Is that kind of a good way for them to kind of look at a property?
Yeah, I think you need to know whether you're raising money or using your own capital, you need to know when you're going to monetize the asset. And most of my holds, some I want to hold in perpetuity. I own a number of properties. I live in Washington, D.C., about 9 blocks from the Capitol. And I like that market because they're not making any more real estate close to the Capitol. And most of, if I'm looking to buy and sell, usually I'm anywhere between a 5 and a 10-year hold. But yeah, you need to know absolutely from the beginning, how long you want to hold that asset for.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, any property that I bought and sold relatively quickly, when I look back, I pretty much wish I still had it in today's market. So, it's flipping real estate is a fantastic way to build up money so you can afford to buy and hold, depending on where you're coming from. Jeff, let me ask you a question here. Could someone, or did you actually really get into commercial real estate without having to use any of their own cash or credit?
So the answer is it's possible. It is possible. There are a lot of people out there talking about no money down, buy commercial real estate without using your own funds. A way a lot of people start, as you know, Ross, is they wholesale. But the way I got into commercial real estate, I took a plunge. At the time when I bought that 20-unit building, I owned 2 assets, 2 condos. And I pledged those assets in addition to the limited amount of cash I have. And I leveraged that into a $2 million piece of property. So is it possible? Yes, but you need to be creative and you really need to think outside the box, but it is possible.
Great. Yeah, you can always partner your way there. I mean, if you have no money and a lot of time, That's a great thing to leverage. Time is very valuable for people that have a lot of money and don't have a lot of time. So if you were approaching life knowing what you know now without having any of your own money or resources, right? It sounds like you believe that you'd be able to make it happen in real estate one way or another.
Yeah, without question. And I think, Ross, you hit the nail on the head. You know, a lot of people have a lot of time and a lot of people have a lot of money. And when you marry the two, you know, you may be great, you know, you meaning our listeners may be great at finding deals. Now, there are people, now I'm in a position, I'm fortunate, where I don't go look for deals and I'm presented with deals. But if you have the ability to find the deal, the money for some people is the hard part. The money really is the easy part. The secret sauce is locating that asset, that commercial asset that you can either buy below market or preferably buy below market and add value to. And then it's a win-win for not just obviously you, but for your money partner.
Yeah, Jeff, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because I kind of came up with in the residential world, and it took me a while to get into commercial. And now looking back, I'm like, I don't know why I waited so long before I got into commercial. I felt like I had to go through these steps in my head. I'll wholesale, then I'll fix and flip, then I'll buy and hold some, then I'll buy some commercial, then I'll start development. You could have just went straight to the top. This is not a corporate ladder, people. You can jump into whatever ring that you want to, as long as you can provide some value somewhere for someone. So, Jeff, we've been talking about this a little bit, but let's dive in. And then in just a few more moments, I'm going to announce the winner of the PIN software, financing. All right. So we know our end game. We're going to hold on to this property for 10 years. We're going to buy it with hard money, refinance it into traditional. Can you talk me through some of the financing options for someone who's just getting involved?
Yeah, we could talk for hours about financing options, but there's lots of money out there. You know, where we stand here today, or where I'm sitting, there's more money in the market than I've seen in decades. People are looking for active investment. So what are the financing vehicles? You know, people are offering, 1 to 4 family up to 100% financing. One of the big things, and one of the things that we offer, is a 90% acquisition loan and 100% of rehab. Generally, you're looking, just to, cut straight, you want to have between 15 and 25% of the total project available to you in cash. You'll have cost overruns. And how many deals have you done that you haven't used a contingency? When I did my first real estate deal, I thought I was going to end up spending $250,000 in renovations. And at 7 a.m., I'll never forget, I walked over to the building and met a dear friend of mine. This is literally 7 a.m. He said, "Jeff, it's going to be $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
$1 million. So I walked back, maybe crawled. This is a ways back, probably tears in my eyes. And I told my wife, "Honey, the good news is we found the right guy. The good news is he can finish. The bad news is we're going to be $750,000 over." But what I did creatively is I came up with a way to add value that added more than $1 million of value to that particular building. But financing and having cash reserves is so important.
Yeah, I'd say so. Either you or a partner there, for sure. So let's keep talking about the financing. We understand that. Well, actually, let me take a step back. What could you have done to have seen that huge expense? Because that's a pretty big oversight there. Was something hidden from you? Can you kind of walk me through what happened there for you to miss that?
Very, very good question. And I write about it in my book. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the exact chapter. But it is, what I didn't do is what I'm teaching people to do. And that is vetting the contractor. I had initially decided to do kind of just a patch and paint. And the contractor that did the patch and paint had an unfortunate incident, and he wasn't able to continue the property. So I had been hounded by, hounded by a guy who wanted to do work for me and came by my office every week and brought me this beautiful book of all the renovations he had done and said, Jeff, I've done this one, I've done this one, I've done this one. The one thing I didn't do is I didn't verify. Trust but verify. So what I didn't do is go to look at these projects. I didn't do my diligence. And it cost me a whole lot of money, and taught me a very valuable lesson. And that's what got me there. And I still own that asset, by the way. And the asset is a terrifically performing asset 5 blocks from the Capitol.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So at the end of the day, had you known about that, you might not have gotten to the deal. Right?
Yeah.
So you might have negotiated a better deal.
I probably would have negotiated a better deal.
Yeah.
But in terms of financing options, there's hard money, private lending, there's traditional bank financing, which is everybody's first choice. Bank financing will require a much greater down payment, typically deposits. When you're a beginning investor, or even if you're a medium or large investor, you've got to have cash reserves at banks. They want to typically see anywhere, generally about 10% of what you are borrowing from them in cash at all times. So it's cash intensive, but you also get a much better, you've got a spread of 400 to 500 basis points between bank financing and private financing. You can also do creative financing. One of the things a lot of people do, and a lot of things that, and a lot of deals I see, seller financing. Mm-hmm. If you can offer a seller that's got equity in a property and above market interest rate, you obviously show them you're credible, share with them your personal financial statement, your plan for the property. Seller financing is integral and a great asset for beginning investors. And besides that, OPM, other people's money, investors. And those are the main points.
Yeah, no, looking back, seller financing is what did it for me. There's, if you're willing to put the time in, if you're willing to hustle, if you're willing to take a lot of deals almost to the finish line and then not be able to get them done, it's amazing how many things happen once you're in the game. So many people, they want to make sure they have everything lined up ahead of time. That's not real world. You get in there, you have a real deal, a hot deal. You got someone that signed a contract. You can put the pieces together. Wouldn't you say that's true? If someone has a good commercial property, they can find the money, the partners, one way or another.
Yeah, I think, again, just going backwards a few minutes, the secret sauce is finding the deal. And if somebody brings me or brings anybody who's listening, hey, I've got this commercial property, I can buy it for easy numbers, I can buy it for $3. We're going to put $1 into it, and it's worth $10. You're going to find those $4 and maybe $5 for carry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to announce the winner of the PIN software. A lot of people call it the pre-MLS because these are all deals that cannot be found on the MLS. Highly motivated individuals to sell all the vacants, the pre-foreclosures, the probates, zombie properties. There's a whole list of great leads that you can go ahead and work right in this software. And this person, they went to exactlyhow.com. They engaged with us on our YouTube channel. They subscribed, and the winner of this week's contest is...
Looking for a private money partner to fund your flips or rentals? Go direct to the source. PrivateLenders.com, a free marketplace that instantly matches you with up to 5 private money lenders to save thousands by having non-bank lenders compete to be your funding partner. PrivateLenders.com.
And the winner of this week's contest is Cliff Cash. Great last name. All right.
Appropriate last name.
Appropriate last name. Cliff, thank you so much for being a subscriber of our YouTube show and engaging with us. We're going to go ahead and get you all set up with the software. For everyone else who didn't win, we have some amazing free gifts, not worth $3,000, but close. in the description of this YouTube video and in the comments as well. You'll see Connected Investors is commenting there. As you're watching this, if you have questions, comment them. If you just want to tell us, hey, Ross, hey, Jeff, great job. Oh, I learned something there. Please engage with us. That's how we, that's what fuels us to keep doing this, to put all the time, energy, and effort in for you guys, to help you guys get to the next level. So make sure to check out the description of the YouTube video. It's packed with great free gifts. So Jeff, let's talk about the last step here, the location. Location. Why don't you go ahead and talk about why that's so important?
I mean, you've said it in 3 words: location. You know, I want to go backwards for 1 second. And you know, one of my biggest investors and one of my closest friends said to me, "I've got 2 rules in life. Number 1, not to lose money, and that's rule number 1. And the second rule."
Don't break rule number 1.
Remember rule number 1.
Yeah.
So in terms of location, and this is something my father taught me many years ago. You can buy, you know, when I wanted to buy my first residential property, I found, and I don't know if it's the lowest, but just about the lowest priced property in the best area. You can't beat location, which is why, and that's what I base my investment philosophy on. You know, location, the properties that I own in Washington, D.C., near the U.S. Capitol. Why the U.S. Capitol? Because they're not making any more land. The property that I bought in burgeoning areas where I've done my homework, where I've studied, where I've read, hey, there's going to be a metro coming to this location in the coming years. That's when you buy the real estate. You know, even if you have, you know, again, the smallest house in a great area, you're generally 99.9% of the time not going to lose money. And that's, you know, and it applies for us really to any geography. I mean, you can be in New York, you can, and I'm naming big cities, New York, Washington, Chicago, LA. However, you can be in Omaha, right? I don't know why I picked Omaha or Iowa. I grew up in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, and I am a Green Bay Packers fan. I must say that on the podcast. But in Milwaukee, if you are buying a property in a good location, you're not going to lose money. And while others, if you know, 2008 was, I guess, 11 plus years ago. But if you had property, and I don't care where you know, in the Rust Belt, it had some major depreciation. But if you had a good property, even in the Rust Belt, in a great location, the odds are that where people in B locations and C locations lost this much, you know, you probably only lost this much. And when the rebound happened, you're benefiting this much, not playing catch up.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. You know, you can buy real estate, and if you hold it long enough, all of a sudden people think you're a genius.
You know, staying power. You know what they say in real estate. You know, staying power. We could talk about in another podcast.
Yeah.
But you know, those who were able to hold on to the real estate in 2008, or even stocks for that matter, you know, we're well beyond 2008 highs.
Yeah. You said you're a Green Bay fan?
I am. Did I offend you? I'm sorry.
No. Just one of my mentor just yesterday or day before bought 10% of the Steelers.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's gonna be fun to hang out with them now.
I mean, I would say it would be.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been very educational here, and everyone, again, visit exactlyhow.com to get all of these show notes. Actually, Jeff is going to do something for you that I kind of almost advised him against, because I know so many people are going to be pummeling him. Jeff, if you need proof of funds, correct, when you're making offers, this is something that you can help them put together, correct?
Absolutely. It's something we do many times a day.
Yeah. So visit exactlyhow.com. You can take a look at the show notes here, and all the details on Jeff, his book, everything, how to get the proof of funds will all be right there. So give us a thumbs up if you're happy about that, because I know a lot of people are. Now, you talked about making sure you understand when things like the metro are coming through or there's stuff happening. On a podcast we did a few months ago, there was this great hack that they shared with us that I want to bring up to you again. They set up a Google alert for their city name plus approves. So Wilmington approves. And anytime there's new news of a city approving something, boom, they get a Google alert, and they can kind of stay up to keep their thumb on the pulse of what's happening. If a huge something gets approved in a very depressed area of town, might be time to go ahead and pick up some of that real estate while you can. So just a little hack from a previous show. And we did another show. I'll include it in after this video. There'll be a few related videos that will come up if you're watching it on YouTube. One of which will be one where we specifically talked about how to manage contractors. It could be about, I forget the title of it, but one of the videos will be about managing contractors. They gave some amazing tips on how they grow out their rental portfolio through making sure they have the right contractors. A big mistake that Jeff made, that I made, that so many people make, are these contractors. You want to believe them.
I wish I would have watched that podcast before I made that $1 million turn.
Yeah, exactly. So after this video pops up, there'll be another one that will pop up as well. So Jeff, I'm going to ask you a few tough questions here. So what do you think your life would be like if you never decided to become a full-time real estate investor and private lender? I
might say #boring. I came to Washington because I was a poli-sci major and a political buff, and had I not gone into real estate, I'm betting I'd be working someplace in the government, not living where I live now, not doing some of the special things that I'm able to do now from the investing that I've done. Might not be boring, but it would have led me down a much different path.
Yeah, exactly. And when you start to get later in your career and you're looking back, if you have a real estate portfolio there, you've built up a legacy, you've built up your retirement. You're not, you have a plan. So it's really important that everyone gets involved in real estate in some way, shape, or form. I mean, you guys found this podcast because you had the idea to invest in real estate, right? Maybe you haven't taken action yet. Maybe you're just looking for that one idea. Maybe you're doing okay, but not all that great. So let this be kind of the fuel to that fire. And again, we have some great resources right in the description of this YouTube video that will help you get there, that can help break down some of those roadblocks, tools and softwares and checklists and calculators and all that fun stuff that will help you get to the next level. So Jeff, do you have time for the rapid fire section?
Let's do it.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
I'm a triplet, so rapid fire, I'd say 10.
Wow. Get up early or stay up late?
Depends which part of my life. Get up early now.
How many hours of sleep do you get?
Try to get 8 a night. Favorite
or most recent book that you read?
Besides your book?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, let me see your book, but I haven't read it. I've been listening to a lot of Blinkist, so I haven't. The last book I read, I can't even tell you.
There you go. If you could be any superhero, who would it be?
Green Lantern, because I love the ring.
What is something everyone should do less of?
Stress.
What is something everyone should do more of?
Sleep.
Bitcoin, bang or bust?
Bust.
And will people visit Mars in your lifetime?
Depends upon how long I live. The answer is I hope so, yes.
Well, great. It's fun because we do this rapid fire thing at the end of every show, and I didn't realize that I'm essentially surveying 100 millionaires on what they think of these different questions. And now I'm starting to draw different parallels on these right here. You were the first person to answer Green Lantern, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So my favorite answer, however, has been Warren Buffett.
He certainly is a superhero. There's absolutely no question.
Yeah. And as far as hours of sleep, it's all over the board there. So it doesn't matter how long you sleep. It matters what you do while you're awake. So Jeff, thanks again for coming on the show.
Ross, thank you for having me.
All right. And for everyone who is still with us here, you made it to the end of the show, which means you saw value in what Jeff and I brought you. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up, like, comment, let us know what you learned. Your engagement really fuels our engagement. So please make sure to do it right now. Don't rely on someone else to do it. If you're watching this on YouTube, just give us a little comment. It means a lot to us. And those comments actually go right to my phone, and I answer a lot of those comments because you guys asked some really good questions. So it's really fun to be able to engage with you through the YouTube comments. So until the next time, I'll see you inside Connected Investors. Bye-bye.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.